We're here.
We're live.
What up?
What's up?
Are we live?
I think we are. What about
Hit it.
I think we do we have any of that?
What are we hitting?
I don't know. Ryan's slow. He's
Are we
slow to-
You want to secure your assets.
We can crack the wallet.
Oh, we've done it before.
We've got rigs, character adversary, attribution mode.
With our private keys combined.
Building some kind of blockchain super weapon.
There's just a number of vulnerabilities that are in the smart contracts.
Math. It's probably scary.
They all secretly mine cryptocurrency.
What coin can I trust? Which one is cryptographically secure?
Don't roll your own crypto.
CoinSec Podcast. Welcome to the CoinSec Podcast. This is episode 56.
And
We're here.
Ralph is blank.
Ralph is joining
what
us
is
from
Ralph?
the Bitcoin mine, where he has dug in deep and is going
What?
to run away.
Oh, I thought that was Home Depot.
Yeah, that's both. Yeah, you could actually Home Depot's in Florida double as a crypto mining area. They have like a little thing. You just set your thing up there while you're shopping, and then you leave. Yeah.
If you're wondering why his lighting looks weird, it's because of all the radiation he's exposed to at the moment.
That is also true. Fun
His
fact.
skin is not being sunburned; it's being miner burned.
Oh man,
Yes.
You gotta stay away from those exhaust ports, man.
Yeah, watch out for those.
Yeah. Well, you know that's why they call it Florida Man for a reason.
Don't. Yeah, I wouldn't try making your own nuclear reactor. I know we talked about that. Like,
Really?
maybe an option for future, but you don't have that much power consumption, so you should be okay.
Okay.
Is that clean
Okay.
energy though?
It's steam, right?
Yeah, steam.
Yeah. I mean, there is a byproduct. I don't know, some of this nuclear waste thing. I don't know. We're going to launch it into space, I heard, though. That was the new thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's good. Then we could have mutant space aliens coming after us.
That are hopefully really good at mining crypto, right? I mean,
They
Maybe.
learn.
they harness the power. They bring us new technology.
They harness the power.
So
Cool.
what
Well-
happened this week? Anything?
Yeah.
Not much.
Honestly,
We can't top last week with the Versace bed.
I know. It's
just-
like So
Yeah.
what's funny is we talked about it Friday, and then we had to talk about it again on Monday on the
And they-
BHIS news.
I would like to say, for edification, our predictions came true and then more and then some. Because
Yeah.
Bo predicted they're going to get a Netflix deal. They got a Netflix deal.
They got, it was like right away, dude.
It was immediate.
It's the
Oh,
whole.
God.
It's a rabbit hole, right? I mean, it's a deep story. We actually don't have any. I don't think we have any articles to talk about it this week, but yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Just watch the train wreck.
They
unfold.
I know the judge said that she, I believe, is getting bail, is or has already been
She's out already.
out on bail.
Watch the train
While they
wreck.
kept him in there because he was apparently the mastermind or the person
Master.
controlling the wallet, right?
So, what does that mean? Does that mean her TikTok's coming back, or her
Oh, I hope
YouTube's coming
so.
back?
Oh, yeah.
Is she gonna make like diss videos against the U.S. justice system? Like, is that
I'm
gonna?
pretty
be her new
sure
target?
her attorney is probably like, that's probably a bad idea. Let's not talk
attorney's like-
about anything. Don't
like-
go on the CoinSec podcast. But if you're out there listening, please, we would
Yes,
love to
Please,
have
come
you
on. Come to the CoinSec podcast.
We
will talk
don't
to
worry. Yeah, nothing you say here is subject to any laws.
It's not.
One kind of interesting thing I saw was that OpenSea actually removed her NFTs that she created, which I
those
think
gotta be worth so much.
I think that's honestly that should be a bigger story, right? Like the whole idea of
Yeah.
using OpenSea to basically deploy your own NFTs. They control the metadata. They control everything attached to those NFTs if you deploy on OpenSea. And they pulled the Crocodile Wall Street's NFTs that somebody had already bought off of OpenSea completely.
I wonder why. Like, what is the move there?
I think it had something to do with OpenSea's policies around illegal trading. If funds had been allegedly been connected with some sort
Oh,
of
because it might have
illegal
been
activity.
she might have used
Could
sold them
have
to
been-
herself for
Yeah,
monetary
yeah,
purposes.
yeah.
Yeah, I
right,
could. Okay, I
like a
could see
laundering
that.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
That makes
But
sense.
I mean, that's but think about that, right? That is totally against decentralized
Right.
blockchain, how it should
Mhm.
work, right?
Yeah, but we've seen a lot of people who don't truly want a decentralized NFT marketplace. Like, oops, price typo, bye-bye NFT.
So instead of relying on OpenSea, are there ways to deploy your own NFT contract and have everything basically self-hosted on IPFS and things like that, where you don't need the marketplace?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what most projects do these days. I think it's probably a fairly small amount of people that just deploy their own random ones. Like you typically don't see big projects that are deploying like 10,000 to OpenSea directly. Actually, so Etherscan actually I'm not Etherscan. OpenZeppelin actually have an NFT wizard where you can deploy your own contract code that it will help you build all the libraries and stuff. So it makes it really easy to do that. Maybe that's something we could show on an episode at some point.
Yeah. We can turn your beard into an NFT.
Lack thereof, man. It's
the
not
old
as
one.
epic anymore.
You'll have to grow it back, then cut it and like commit on the blockchain. You'll never grow it that long again.
All right. So to do that successfully, what we'd have to do is we'd have to take each individual strand, and then each one could be its own unique NFT.
And if I own it, you're gonna send me the actual strand, right?
That's
so I have
I could do that. Yeah.
Then you'll have Bo's DNA. You can clone them and do whatever you want with.
Yeah,
Bo
we're already
on.
working on that at PHIS.
Yeah.
That's been a long
DNA.
term. That's a long term process that we've been working on here.
Cloning Bout?
Well,
cloning Bo, yeah.
Well, if you are here hanging out with us during the live stream, make sure to jump in our Discord to chat with us. And also, I just posted a link to the show notes in Discord as well. If you want to follow along with the stories that we're going to go through today, that's the place to do it. And yeah, and in general, just like come hang out with us in Discord and throw any articles, any sort of conversation in there you want. We'd love to chat.
Are we dropping some NFTs in there?
So Bo, I heard you like big bounties. You like big bounties, and you cannot lie.
I like big bounties, and I can. Perfect. All right, so this first story is awesome. So this first story, $2 million bug bounty. This is unheard of in traditional infosec space and the traditional bug bounty world. Like even big companies like Apple, Microsoft, like what's the max they pay out? Like maybe 250,000, maybe $1 million if you have something crazy. But it's so rare to see a bug bounty this high. Like first off, like what do you guys think about just the number?
That's like iPhone remote root 0-day levels. Like that is how much that would be worth in the like if you go you can go to Zerodium's website. Yeah. Right. You can go, that's iPhone 0-click 0-day. That is, if you go to Zerodium, they have like estimates for how much exploits would be worth, and that is about like for 2 million, that would be like an iPhone remote root, no click, no interaction. Which is like, I mean, that's insane. No one's ever heard of that.
So this must be a pretty important, flaw that was found then, if we're paying out that high of a bounty.
Yeah, I don't think it's XSS.
Yeah, so
it's SSL cert.
This is an Optimism. So this vulnerability that was found is in Optimism, which is a layer 2 scaling project. So a lot of different projects trying to figure out how to deal with a lot of the problems that come from layer 1 Ethereum blockchain. Things like transaction fees, that kind of stuff. Like how expensive it is to even send transactions. So there's various projects out there that are trying to scale Ethereum by creating layer 2 applications which are on top of Ethereum, just like Lightning Network on Bitcoin. Basically, this particular issue was found by Jay Freeman, who goes by Sarek, and he's also known for being an iOS jailbreak software developer as well. So he found this critical bug in early February that would have allowed the actor to basically create infinite ETH on Optimism.
Yeah,
luckily,
I think it was any coin on that chain, right? Is what I read.
Was it more than just that'd be,
I think it's more than just ETH, because you're able to fork. Yeah, it says the attacker can replicate money on any chain using their OVM2 fork of Go Ethereum, L2 Geth.
Well, I guess if you can create all the ETH, you could probably just buy all the coins.
Just buy what you want.
But yeah, I mean that's crazy, right? Like, so one of the things that we talk about pretty often is just like the whole idea of the bridging the traditional infosec world to crypto, right? Like there's a lot of like back and forth between is this just a big scam? Is it is it something that we should even pay attention to? And you see companies like this, you see other like smart contract companies paying out multi-million-dollar bounties. Like, what is it going to take to attract more infosec people is I guess what I'm getting at. Like if we see stuff like this.
I mean, I'm attracted. I don't know about you guys. I don't think I'm smart enough, but I definitely am not going to turn my nose up at a $2 million bug bounty. I have to assume anyone's they're hunting. This has got to be a target now. Like,
Yep. Well, so he ended up getting paid out a $2 million and actually $42 bug bounty by Optimism. So congrats on that, Jay, and thanks for not just like stealing all the ETH.
Yeah, so it's nice that it wasn't just a steal and then, hey, I've got all the funds, now pay me a bounty, right? It's this was a legit hack and report.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it is interesting. Like you mentioned, the crossover. It was a developer from Cydia, which is like an iOS like dark market, or like if you root your iPhone, Cydia is the market you get to install apps. So he was, I guess, probably like, oh, crypto's interesting. He kind of a crossover, right? Wasn't a traditional crypto developer, but he picked it up and was rewarded handsomely for that. I mean, $2 million, that's like, you could live the rest of your life just on that. That's crazy.
All right, next story for today. A BGP hijack happened, which is, that's something we don't really hear a whole lot
I've seen
about,
this one. I've seen this one before.
So hackers have stolen roughly $1.9 million from a South Korean cryptocurrency platform called ClaySwap after they pulled off a rare and clever BGP hijack against the server infrastructure of one of the platform's providers.
So this is really interesting because this bridges infosec quite well. We see this a lot of times. Nation states basically will see like North Korea's BGP hijacked and all internet traffic routed to something else, right? So somebody can then, if you get all the traffic, you can man in the middle or do whatever. But the BGP hijack with this, they had to register an SSL certificate, and that allowed them to then man in the middle, basically the traffic for this. It's not an easy attack. So like Ralph says, I would say the juice isn't worth the squeeze on this one because they didn't really get a lot.
Is that what Ralph says?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Ralph says a lot of
Florida
things.
manism.
He has a lot of little like things that he'll throw out, and you're like, that's a crazy analogy that I'm going to use now. Like he talks about dog food, juice, and squeezing, and all kinds of stuff. Something about goats floating. I don't know. It's weird.
So guys, like, all right. So I'm gonna admit, like, I am not too read up on even like how somebody could carry out a BGP hijack. Like, what is a process? How does somebody carry out one of these attacks?
So we should definitely, before we speculate, I guess we should read the actual debrief. But I would assume it is vulnerabilities or misconfigurations in the routing infrastructure or the BGP configuration, right? It's
kind of like, think of wireless, where if you can boost your signal louder than the wireless AP that's nearby, you can then have the other all the traffic or the people who are connected to that one connect to you, right? You're closer, maybe you're stronger. So that's what they do, is they put up a rogue ASN or AS number, which is like a net block, and they just say, hey, we're here. I'll just keep picking on North Korea. I'm North Korea. This is my internet block. Everybody give me your traffic, right? And then they switch it over. So it takes a lot to keep that going, and you'll see like this. I don't think this lasted that long, especially not long enough to get that much money. 1.9.
So basically, so what they did was
2 hours. They
advertised the developers.cacao.com address. And then once they were able to take that over, they served a malicious version of that KakaoTalk SDK, JavaScript SDK file. And if anyone who received that malicious file had extra code, that would wait for them to initiate a transaction on ClaySwap and then hijack it. So it was like a poisoning attack. So you poison this JavaScript on a mobile device, and then you wait for them to do a transaction and you hijack it to your wallet. So 1.9 million. I mean, that's not a bad haul. Less than that bug bounty, but not a bad haul. I mean, it's
so with BGP hijacks. I mean, can't you carry out like way more serious attacks than just like a $1.9 million hack? Like, I mean, if you're controlling the internet infrastructure, I mean, you could route like email and stuff, right?
Well,
like
anything that's going through there, you could sniff it and potentially pull credentials, whatever.
Well, not if it's end-to-end encrypted. But I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing for this is that they probably could only take over a smaller subset because of this, like Steve said, you have to yell louder. So they have to be able to yell louder. Maybe they could yell louder than developers.kakao.com, but maybe not, the main site or like a whole country or whatever. They have a limited number of AS numbers that they can, use. But I mean, I will say it's interesting how specific the malicious JavaScript was, right? It was specific enough to listen for a transaction on a specific platform. And if you think about it, it's not necessarily the BGP side, but on the JavaScript side, I guess they were in a specific app. But if you think about being able to run, you could intercept a lot more than just transactions on a specific site, right? So this kind of an attack could spider out a lot further than just one app, theoretically.
Right. And I believe in this case, they had to use an SSL certificate that they controlled because otherwise the developer domain Kakao would not have allowed them to man in the middle of the traffic, even with hijacking BGP. So I think they created their own certificate. Once they owned the net block, they could say, hey, we're developer whatever.com, and I want a Let's Encrypt certificate for this subdomain, and it will give it to them because they own the net block for that time period.
Right.
So that's kind of like one of the first things you have to do is get the BGP to direct to you, and then grab an SSL certificate, and then perform your attack.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting when you think about, like Bo said, how big you could go with this BGP stuff, because you could go bigger than this.
Oh.
It's also, the whole app ecosystem cycle is interesting to, who knows, maybe they had CI/CD that was building this stuff automatically and deploying it. Maybe they had, some kind of signature checking that was disabled, like maybe they weren't enforcing SSL certificates, right? Maybe that was a vulnerability on the Kakao side where they were like, if it comes from this, just put it in the pipeline and put it in the app. Don't look for this specific SSL certificate, right? Now, obviously they learned their lesson, but it's interesting when you think about development pipelines. There's a lot of things that are probably degraded in security for the purpose of convenience and development, right? So, do you think that CI/CD pipeline that builds their app is verifying the signatures of all the SSL certificates? Right. Maybe in a perfect world, but maybe not. So
this brings up a good point around, not your keys, not your crypto. So this is a good example of why you shouldn't just leave your crypto on exchanges and instead, rely on storing them in hardware wallets.
Well, so it was transaction. I mean, it wasn't front running specifically, but it was transaction hijacking, right? So like, even if you use this platform to make a trade, even if the keys were somewhere else, it still could have been like the destination was changed, right?
Gotcha. So they didn't actually steal something from this exchange directly, like a wallet, so to speak. It was like changing where transactions were going.
Exactly. It would hijack the funds and send the user's assets to an attacker-controlled wallet. So I'm not sure if it's like, I don't know the actual JavaScript code, but basically it would, it would be a wait for this specific transaction and maybe replace the sending address or something like that instead of but it could have been what you said. It totally could have been like, once you get into the wallet and it's unlocked, just send the money. Like, don't wait for a transaction, just go. So we don't know the exact details of that, but.
So I wanted to cover like how impactful this is. So they did a BGP attack against this one AS number 9457, and to see how big that swath of IPs is, it's 1.2 million IP addresses.
Wow.
Within that range. So to then just target this one, think how much impact you're doing against all of the hosts in that network. You're basically DOSing, tens of thousands of servers and stuff like that potentially. And just to attack one exchange for that, just over $1 million, seems like you could have done a lot more with this. That's why I was saying the juice wasn't worth the squeeze in this case, because it probably took a lot of coordination, planning, setup, and all that stuff just for that. So I don't know if they can do it and get away with it. I guess that's motivation enough, right?
Awesome. All right, next story for today. IRA Financial Trust loses $36 million in client funds. So IRA Financial Trust, apparently a US-based regulated financial institution that provides self-directed retirement accounts for its clients, was hacked. I don't think there's a whole lot of details around how exactly the hack went down. But I'm pretty sure this is one of the first like retirement accounts.
Yeah.
That we've
So
talked
they are
about.
like
if you've been watching TV, these things are exploding everywhere.
So this is a individual retirement account, but in crypto. So it's like a front end. Like you don't know how to use crypto, use our company and we'll invest it for you. That kind of thing.
Right. Tax deferred and all that stuff. Yes.
Huh.
So this, to me, and again, like both said, there's no details. So I would speculate a little bit that this is probably kind of like a bridge of some kind. And you can see that is affected a limited subset of customers with accounts on Gemini cryptocurrency exchange. So it sounds like to me, maybe there's a pool for just that exchange, or otherwise I think it would have affected more than just those people, right?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential vectors for this. Honestly, I mean, maybe I'm cynical, but like I could see this kind of a company not even building any of that bridge, right? Why would you, if you're that company, why would you build any of that stuff, right? You're just managing funds, just take people's US dollars and then have someone manually investing it themselves, right? Like that's how funds work, dude. If I go buy, a Vanguard fund, some dude at Vanguard is taking that fund and buying like actual stocks, right? Like, that's how like asset management works. It's like, so I mean, yes, maybe they went to the effort of actually building a bridge, but it's probably more likely they were just sitting here with a US bank account with X amount and then a crypto account with X amount, and both
on
are
Gemini,
vulnerable.
maybe, yeah,
on Gemini, or maybe, yeah. I mean, who knows? But I guess my opinion is it's not super likely that this company built an actual bridge or any DeFi pool or anything like that. I would guess it was a way more basic manual process, but I don't know. 32 million also, that's like nothing, dude. That in the world of in the world of like institutional investing and like asset funds and things like that, this is like, that's a very small amount of assets under management. So
it's small, but how many times do you hear about a traditional fund losing $32 million, right?
Well, have you seen GME?
No, I meant like losing it, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah, you're right.
Whoops, it got taken. Sorry, guys.
Well, dude, this does say, I'm on their website and I went to their security page, and it does say that they do FDIC protection of cash up to 250,000 through Capital One. So I'm wondering, does that cover your funds, or if you put it into crypto, is that like, well, it's not cash, so we're not going to cover you?
I would guess it's going to be covered. My guess.
Yeah, they probably will cover it. Yeah.
If it's not going to be covered, because this is like the thing, because it's a traditional banking thing, they're going to have insurance. They're going to have, they're going to have not only FDIC, but private insurance that, like that's my guess. But I mean, it's funny. I mean, I guess my perception of it is we're talking about a traditional financial entity playing around in the crypto space and not doing so hot.
All right. So next story. This one, like when I first saw this, I got a little freaked out because of how intense this scam was. So this next story is about the founder of ArrowDAO, Thomas G. Eth, on Twitter, and he basically walked through this scenario that happened to him and how insanely deep this scam ran that almost was successful in stealing all of his ETH. So basically, so he's a founder of this ArrowDAO, which is building an open source VTOL aircraft and air taxi protocol. And
what? Wait, is
vertical takeoff? It's like it's like for having like small aircraft vehicles.
So you're telling me this is a blockchain adapter to real life things? It's not. It has nothing to do with financial anything.
Yeah, it's a DAO, so it's just it's like a fund for building this.
Oh, so you're saying it's like capital pool? Okay,
kind of.
I was thinking like this is actually going to do like the traffic management for these things. I was so confused.
I don't think so. I think that they were just using the DAO to fund it, but I could be totally wrong. So from what it looks like here, though,
that makes sense. That makes way more sense.
So Thomas G. He was reached out to by someone named Heckshine, who claimed to be working at Ubisoft and offered help with 3D design and animation. And then that person, after building like a relationship with Thomas G over a few days, brought up a friend of theirs named Lynn. And she is apparently interested, and Heckshine asks for him to send her an email. And so like they start a conversation back and forth with this person named Lynn. Now, Lynn allegedly works at a metaverse project called Space Falcon. And so Thomas is like, I'm not really sold on it, but not really an NFT person, so I didn't have any reason to think it was bad. And then tells Thomas about this connection that she has with Boeing and Whisk, and offers some thoughts on Arrow. She seemed eager to help with a potential partnership. And then the tone gets a little strange, where she basically offers for him to go meet or go tour the Whisk facility. And then in that conversation, he offered he offered to help with the NFT project that she was running. And so during that, she was going to send him like an NFT as like a test. And I'm getting a little ahead of the story. So he looked up Space Falcon, right, which is this NFT, and apparently this Lynn person is actually attached to it. For the next 10 days or so, the Heckshine person is active in the Discord every day, puts out some worthy, high-quality renderings. They're not particularly airworthy, but he's super excited to be helping. And like he even says, like, I can't overstate how committed and authentic this Heckshine person seemed through this entire process. They had a super aligned vision. He felt enthusiastic about what they were working on. And then what happened next is the NFT part, right? So she's going on about how he can tour this Whisk facility, and had invited him along to meet the team. She even included a screenshot of an email thread with Sebastian, who is actually a VP at Whisk. So that's probably like spoofed in this case, or at least faked.
Just faked.
Yep. And so he's like pumped to meet this person, right? He's pumped to go do this tour. But then this is where Lynn mentions that their staking app has launched, and she offers to send him an NFT. At this point, testing out the app is the least he could do. That's what he says. So I asked her to send to my hot wallet, but she sends to my primary because it's so valuable. Okay, so this is where it gets weird, right? So he basically provided her with a wallet that did not contain the majority of the ETH that he owns, right? The majority of his funds that he's collected, which is a lot, which we'll get to in a second. And so he gives her this other wallet because that's like pretty, safer OPSEC, right? Like to not just accept like some random, thing to your personal wallet. So she sends instructions for the staking app that she's building. The site seems fine, and it prompts for 3 transactions. Okay, so the NFT approval, a token approval for Armstrong wrapped ETH, which is allegedly the version of wrapped ETH within her application, and a stake function. And so he's like, the token approval seems a little strange, but I don't hold it, so I don't worry. So he's basically saying like, I don't hold this Armstrong wrapped ETH. But then he said, now this is where I get incredibly lucky. So since it's a new project, I decided to move the NFT to a fresh ETH address before going through the staking process, just in case they get exploited down the road or something. So the stake goes through, and he's earning yield on it. And so he let Lynn, the person that started the staking application, know that it was staked and it was easy. And she offers to send me one of the other NFTs, but she wants me to stake it on the main account. So she's basically like, at this point, forcing him and trying to say like, no, like don't put it on your secondary wallet. I want it on the main wallet, which is like total red flag, right?
Yeah,
total red flag. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna read through the contracts before I stake it on my main wallet. And she starts to get pushy, and he finally realizes what's going on here, right? Like that he's getting scammed. So he pulls up Etherscan for the new address where he staked that first NFT, and he said his blood goes ice fucking cold. So the A WETH, so which was supposed to be the Armstrong wrapped ETH, was actually Ave's wrapped ETH on his main address. So
Ooh.
yeah, so if he had actually gone through the token approval process on his main account for the Aave wrapped ETH, the attacker, this person who scammed him, would in this intricate scam would have been able to easily drain all of the Aave wrapped ETH from his account. Which I think I don't remember which one of the other hosts on the show, but somebody pointed out that he had like a few million, I think, in Aave wrapped ETH.
Right.
Wow. So
That's
I mean,
pretty
did he actually did the attackers create a similar token intentionally for this purpose? Like, was Armstrong wrapped ETH made by them
So I believe that they were trying to just like make something that looked similar enough, right? Or that would go under the radar because
that he would approve it.
Name. Yeah.
Right. He would see the abbreviation and approve it. Like, even if he did read it, he'd be like, oh, it's Armstrong wrapped ETH, so no big deal. But
exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I get why you're like, we get why you're sketched out by it, because it like the things that we say to look out for are hard to check for here. And really, like he even says he got lucky, right? He got lucky that he didn't put in his hot wallet, which I think a lot of people would. I mean, I guess if everything's different when you got a couple mil laying around, but that's crazy. And it's also like scammers are getting good. It's not just like, I showed you my NFT, please respond. It's like months and potentially weeks and months of work and like legit, you can tour our facility and like, all that stuff. It's hard to like get a vibe for like, is this real? Like, I don't know. It's, your bullshit detector is not going to go off as much as it would if it was just some random foreign person being like, I send NFT, you send ETH. Okay. Like,
yes.
That's tough. I mean, that's really crazy.
Just shows you the level that people are willing to go through to scam people, right?
Yeah, it is crazy.
And always check your approvals. I think Bo's put that on the show before on etherscan.io. There is a approval checker process on there now. You can go see which tokens you have assigned.
Yeah, but does Etherscan support like Armstrong wrapped ETH?
I just looked. It's not like by name on there
right?
Because it hasn't been validated or anything. But I'm sure if if he would have looked at the contract right before
it
approval,
should be validated
you
for
would
the
see
AVE.
that it's not. Yeah.
It should be validated for the AVE. If it wasn't validated, that would be a red flag. Or actually, it would be a red flag when it was to a validated address that wasn't what he thought it was. Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. I mean, yeah.
Well,
keep
so when
that
you go
shit offline.
Yeah. So when you go through like the token approvals, especially using something like MetaMask, you typically just see the address that you're approving, right? And it just says, set approval all, right? Like, and it's like basically asking for approval on all the tokens. And one of the things that I actually posted in the, let's see, which channel did I post it in? It was maybe general. I'll have to find it. But there was a good tweet, thread about basically going through each of the like the tokens that you own and like basically labeling them, so that you can have like a common name where, in MetaMask, if you go to approve anything, if you had previously labeled it as, Armstrong or Aave or Raptith or whatever, right? Like you would see that as opposed to just like a contract address.
Right. Yeah. And don't ever, I guess, I don't know. Some people might want to stake 2 million. I could see that. I mean, big APR, but yeah, that is a crazy scam. That is definitely the most advanced scam we've seen so far. I mean, having people that are good communicators and have like real websites, real things, like a lot of the red flags didn't show until the very end, which is just where, it gets sketchy. Stay safe out there, people.
Yep.
Be super, super skeptical of pretty much anything in this industry.
Well, also the other thing is like at the end of the day, when you do look at it, that was a person unsolicited sending a valuable asset to someone without anything really being asked for in return. So that is like, but if you're the creator of a thing, people are going to want to do that. So it's tough, right? If you're if you're a higher profile person, people are going to want to, hey, come read my new business proposal or whatever,
So I got to tell a quick story about like I had a total paranoid moment recently. Like actually just a couple days ago, I got a random email to my my no bandwidth email, right? So my band, of sorts, right? Music group. From somebody who said that they are they provide soundtracks for video games. And the website was basically saying that they sent to me was writing the soundtrack for Web3, and I'm like, this is so targeted at me. And I was like, I love it though. Like it's I'm totally gonna go with this.
So wait, what happened? Was it real?
So
you sent them a Cobalt Strike payload, right?
No, I'm totally gonna talk to him.
Oh man.
I mean, I guess worst case scenario, you just gotta like
please record it.
Well,
yeah, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. That is,
Hopefully they're not watching.
The cats.
You're just stake your NFT of your songs in our contracts, and then we'll make sure it ends up in all the games soundtracks.
If you do that, just make sure you don't, accidentally stake all your ETH.
Don't approve it. No token approvals.
So
all right, next story. So this is one I saw. I think Steve, you posted this one. The Department of Justice beefs up efforts to combat criminal use of cryptocurrencies. So the U.S. government is intensifying efforts to combat the criminal use of cryptocurrencies as federal prosecutors continue to target the business models and logistics of cybercrime such as ransomware. I mean, this is kind of in line with what we have been talking about over the last couple episodes around the Bitfinex hack, right?
So I read this as companies that do attribution in the crypto space just got a lot of government contracts. I don't know about you guys. That's how I read it, as the government is investing probably heavily into firms and other contractors that could help them with like the clustering stuff, the laundering, all that kind of stuff. That's just my guess.
It does say that in there, allude to it. It says that the FBI is forming a virtual asset exploitation unit That's a mouthful. In an effort to combine combine experts in areas such as equipment, blockchain analysis, and virtual asset seizure in one place. So yes, exactly like you said, Corey, they're going to take those experts, probably pay them an enormous amount of money and bring them all together, right? And it's interesting here that I think one thing is that they're hiring more prosecutors. So that's something I know a lot of law enforcement places, when they're going to beef up, that's one of the first things they have to do is get the people who are actually going to prosecute. It doesn't really say in here though how they plan on disrupting. They talk about disrupting these.
So the DOJ, what is that? Is that CIA and FBI? Like
DOJ is Department of Justice, so that's everybody in the whole Justice Department. So
right, but
FBI,
it's kind of like DOD is like all the military stuff. DOJ,
and Homeland Security is overarching for those agencies.
Yeah, so Department of Justice would be everybody who's doing anything with like criminal investigations, right? So it is FBI, ATF, CIA is actually intelligence, right? So that's not necessarily part of justice, like the intelligence agencies. So the NSA and the CIA, they don't actually enforce.
NSA
laws,
is DOD,
right?
I think. Yeah.
They don't enforce laws, right? Those are like outside of it. But Department of Justice is FBI, ATF. Who else? Like anything would fall under that.
TSA,
like
maybe.
Federal.
I don't know.
No, TSA is under Homeland Security.
Anywho, yeah. What I wanted to bring up about this though is that obviously all this blockchain technology has a log, right? Like, so we're just finally catching up to following it, and that's literally how they caught the Bitfinex hackers, right? It's the same thing. They just followed the money, and they had the tools in place, right? And it was so much money that was really hard to like kind of go below the radar. But yeah, I think we're going to see more of that, and that's how they're going to figure out where, and then all of the legitimate exchanges having all of the know your customer policies in place, and
right, the traditional money, so it's a dual approach. They're probably contracting out the stuff that's like researching the blockchain, the mixers, the
tracking it.
They're probably contracting all that out. But then on the traditional side, they're probably like Steve said, hiring prosecutors. They literally say, I'm just going to sit here and sign warrants for Coinbase all day. You know what I mean? Like that's that, like, because you have to go that ultimately there's not like a crypto Patriot Act where we can just go and yank funds and addresses and IPs and emails.
In essence, just think of it like this: all of the main on ramps to crypto, right? So the way that you could convert your dollar or whatever in the US, let's just say the way you convert your dollar to crypto, all of those on ramps are going to be heavily monitored, right?
And the off ramps too, probably, right?
Yeah, that's where you're just going to be like, hey, Coinbase, we just get ready. We're going to have an express lane for warrants, right, to get the information for these people, right? And you have to realize that Coinbase, Gemini, and all of them, they're like, all right, well,
they have to. They don't have a choice. Yeah.
I want to be a part of this, right?
Well, yeah, and same with LavaBit, right? I mean, go back 10 years, the same things happen. Like it's either comply or be shut down in the US. So it'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of this is international crime, which makes it really hard to prosecute. And I would be fascinated. Like we've already talked on the show and given demos about like how to trace transactions, and Steve has demonstrated how to use BigQuery and things like that. It'd be fascinating to see some of the ways that they're like pulling down Tornado, and like, how do you correlate? You know what I mean? How do you, if you're pulling down like the Tornado chain or the ledger, like how are you possibly turning like this Bitcoin address went to like 50,000 Tornado addresses and like trying to correlate.
When they all converge back to one address, it's pretty easy to follow, right?
So that was the thing I was thinking about. I'm like, why didn't the Bitfinex hackers, why didn't they just use Tornado or whatever, right? It's just too much money. Like you just can't, it doesn't matter how many addresses you send it to. If it all ends up going back to this other one, you're like, oh, well, I think
that's true. But man, I mean, you think about it, like honestly, it's kind of funny, but it's like the human element of it is what makes it so difficult. But like, if you were smart, you could easily get around that, right? So, you just have 50,000 or whatever Tornado addresses that it's distributed to. And
hash
then you
moles? cash mules. I mean, that's pretty much what you're moving to, because you need 50,000 people to take all that currency and then get it back to you without going through a traditional either blockchain or some other asset, right?
That's true.
That's what money mules are.
I guess, like Steve said, the KYC stuff is a big barrier, bigger than you'd realize, because if you actually go to spend any of that crypto, unless it's on like a darknet market, there's going to be KYC. And you're not spending $4 billion on a freaking darknet market. Like, dude,
and
I don't know how many body parts you need.
Those two proved it when they tried to set up a couple accounts, had to do KYC, and then they just left the crypto there, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's,
who signs up? I mean, why would you sign up? Why would you sign up, send your crypto, and not be able to take it back out if you know they have KYC? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's and I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what other cases get prosecuted as we go. I mean, this, obviously, from our perspective, from the government's perspective, they're saying that the Bitfinex hackers were state of the art. From our perspective, it's basic, very basic mixing, and they made big mistakes along the way, having your address, having your cloud keys just in Google Drive or whatever. Like,
so I think the only way that this is going to work is you're going to have to funnel that money through a country doesn't care, and then bring it back in, right? So that, you have to get the human aspect. Like, you have to. But
man, they can seize it, right? As it comes in, they can. Well, I guess it's like Panama paper stuff, right? Shell Corp and all that. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, what if you send the money to someone in Russia, they pull it out in cash and then put it back in some other crypto, right? Like,
investing in a company. Yeah. They start a company in Russia, then you buy it out or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But how is the U.S. government going to do anything about that, right? Yeah. That's just an example of one way, right, that you may be able to do it, but you're just not going to be able to off-ramp it in the U.S. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's only going to apply to U.S. citizens. Obviously, I guess technically the CIA has overstepped and probably will continue to overstep, but in general, I don't think they're going to be prosecuting cases against foreign nationals unless
they're extradited, right? For crimes like ransomware and things like that.
If it's an extradition country, or if it's based on an attack that happened, maybe to a company in the U.S. or U.S. citizens got their assets stolen or something like that. But man, that's a tough position. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I hope that other countries follow in our footsteps and actually do sort of support, not extradition. I don't care about geopolitics, but at least having the level of tracking, like the same level of currency access, like the same, like Ralph was talking about the on-ramps and off-ramps, having that level of visibility, at least just so we know, right? Even if you can't extradite someone from Bulgaria or whatever, at least we know, like, okay, that's, the funds went to some Bulgarian company or whatever. Like, it's,
Yeah. And I mean, like, a lot of times they know where it's at, or they know who got it, but they just can't extradite them. They can't get them out of the country. Lots of examples with Russian nationals where they couldn't, and they actually went to somewhere like Prague, and they were like, hey, we knew you were going here, right? Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if the U.S. government wants you bad enough, they will get you when you finally slip up, or you stay in your hiding hole, right? And at this point, I feel like the only hiding hole that the U.S. is not really, flushing out is Russia. So
it is also interesting, bringing the geopolitics in. Like, I'm reading the book Sandworm right now, which is about the Russian threat actors that did, NotPetya and all that stuff. And like the U.S. during in the Trump administration, they announced sanctions against specific hackers and specific individuals. It's funny, classic, politics. They weren't at all related to NotPetya. They were just like random people. But like, it'll be interesting to see if the U.S. government at a political level, like the Biden administration or whatever administration, if they start sanctioning people for crypto crimes. That'll be an interesting, that'll be a news article that we'll talk about on here. But it'll be interesting to like. I just imagine the gears in the politicians' heads spinning. They're like, okay, so they stole the money, but then crypto magic happened, and now it ended up like, just like all the, whether they'll be willing to like multinational prosecute these people.
This didn't happen in crypto, but did you hear about the avocado sanctions that are going on right now?
No.
So, I mean, so I guess right now there's no more avocados coming in from Mexico because some cartel members were threatening U.S. Inspectors. Right. And so there's no more avocados coming in from Mexico. They cut it off. Right. But But my point with that story, and that just goes to your point about like the sanctions, right? Like that was their arm to be like, hey, don't let this happen over here, or we're just gonna destroy the whole industry.
It's always an economic. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the economic pull and push.
But
right?
man, if you think about it from the U.S. perspective, it's an outflow of assets, right? We are like, although I guess I'd love to see some statistics on what are the nationalities of the crypto whales. Where I would assume it's heavily U.S. based, just based solely on the fact that the U.S. is typically at the forefront of a lot of tech. But like Satoshi, right? He wasn't from the U.S. At least, I guess we don't really know.
What?
Yeah, like it's interesting when you think about it. Okay, so let's say $100 million gets stolen from U.S. citizens and then funneled into Bulgaria, where they can't do anything about it. And then there's just like, Bulgaria just like, dude, you could start a country, right? Like El Salvador. Dude, think about, let's say you're El Salvador, the company or the country that keeps buying all this Bitcoin and is using it as their national currency. You could literally like start a country, like a sovereign nation with $4 billion in Bitcoin. That's enough of a pool. That's like, dude, Zimbabwe would love to have that kind of liquidity.
Let's start the United State of Florida.
It's already been tried, man. I wouldn't recommend it.
It's already been tried.
Just give it time, man. Just give it time. All right, what's next?
That's a fascinating one, I think. I mean, I know that it's a very bare bones article, but the ramifications of that are fascinating to me.
All right, so the next two stories actually came from a Twitter user that goes by the name of Tree of Alpha that has found some interesting vulnerabilities in a few different things. So the first one is they found a vulnerability in CoinDesk, not Coinbase. I need to change that. The second one's Coinbase. The first one's CoinDesk. So vulnerability in CoinDesk that allowed anyone to read every draft message before it was posted, create fake drafts, or edit existing published articles. So CoinDesk is it's a pretty popular news site for crypto stuff.
Misinformation, pump and dump, baby.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, with it being a crypto site, like that's the risk, right? If you could potentially, modify articles to say, oh, Elon is now, fully supporting, whatever coin,
Oh, dude, Solana just got hacked for 10 mil. Solana price just dropped, right?
Oh,
that's the big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the dump and pump. The dump and dump. I don't know.
You could go both ways, right? You can
go both ways.
Down. I mean, like, there's no end to what you can do if you can just influence my,
right.
Or you could just say some protocol's been rugged, like they're pulling the rug, and you're just like, oh crap, I gotta sell everything.
Or like they said about looking at drafts, if they're publishing a draft that's like, Coinbase got rugged, like you could like, even if you're not gonna do a public even if you're not going to do like a public opinion manipulation scheme, you can still get information before it's publicized.
All right. So here's even a worse one, right? Like, so what if somebody had leveraged that to perform some kind of cross-site scripting or some sort of like browser hook, right? For, all the crypto users in the world that visit articles on that site, like that'd be crazy.
Now have to approve your wallet to read this article.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, yeah, the CoinDesk airdrop. CoinDesk airdrop. That's going to get a lot of clicks.
Dude, so like, there's sites that do something similar to this already. Like, so Decrypt the news article site. They had a functionality built in. I think they might still have it, where you get a certain amount of like, basically like token points for reading articles and like staying engaged with the articles. So like, that's not unheard of. Like, that could totally be a thing, right? Like, connect your wallet and earn coins.
Yeah, the basic attention token, right? Steve was talking about that. He clicks ads and collects tokens or whatever. And so like his wallet's open on that. Yeah.
Give away my trade secrets.
I mean, I assume it's a one-directional thing. It's not like you're like committing assets onto the web page. But yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's funny.
Drop files. You do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So apparently this is like an API problem. So part of the problem is that the endpoint itself is just a proxy to query the Arc publishing API and return the results. So it looks like whenever the ARC publishing API would return a status code that was not equal to 200, CoinDesk's Node.js files would forward the entire error stack to the user. Sounds useful.
Yes. Debug, true.
Yes.
Wow.
In this stack, it included the URL for querying articles on ARC Publishing and the bearer token to do so, basically giving full access. So that is where the biggest issue is, right? Like they're giving the token away in the response.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
A free token airdrop on CoinDesk.
Yeah, but it's a bearer token.
Hey, details.
That's
a cool find, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
So you talked about Coinbase. Let's get to the actual Coinbase.
Yeah, so the same person, True Alpha, they also notified Coinbase of potential exploit to the advanced trading platform on Coinbase. The issue is sensitive and could allow malicious users to send all Coinbase order books to arbitrary prices. That sounds pretty bad.
Oof.
So this is on the, what is it, like limited access advanced trading, not like the pleb I scanned the code from the Super Bowl.
I'm still
your $5 of free Bitcoin there wouldn't probably get you.
We didn't talk about that
15,
on the show, by the way.
15.
We talked about it on the news. We didn't talk about that ad on the show. I guess if we have time,
$15.
Yeah, 15 for signing up.
Dude, that's enough, dude. Okay, if you invest $15 in 2008 in Bitcoin,
All right, you may have a point.
Yeah, you're right though, Corey. We have not talked about that one.
If we have time, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't want to stomp over. What was the vulnerability here? It was just was it a?
I don't
do
think
we know why?
I don't think we know yet what exactly happened.
Did you get
all we know is that
bounty for this?
Is that they fixed it. I the last I looked, they had not been issued a bounty yet for this.
They gotta, dude. Although it does say it's a limited audience, but still, dude, come on.
Yeah, it sounds bad.
That's spicy.
Yeah, so if you guys watched the Super Bowl, there was an ad that got a lot of attention that was created by Coinbase. And the ad was basically a QR code that just bounced around the screen. And like,
it was like the DVD standby. Yeah, like the DVD standby screen.
I just posted the link.
But like Bo said, it was there for an uncomfortably long amount of time.
A minute, a solid.
It was a full
minute.
So it was like basically, all the noise and hullabaloo of the Super Bowl, and then this is just playing.
It is intriguing, and I know people that clicked on it or that scanned it, and I was like probably 10 seconds away from saying F it and getting off of my couch and going to scan it anyways. So I was totally about to do that, and it brings up the whole QR code security.
Right.
Everybody has a different opinion on it, and to me, it's like, you know what? There's a difference. A Super Bowl commercial with a QR code probably going to be okay. If it's going to have to be a nation state level person buying how many $1 million, $1 billion, however much it costs to buy a 60-second ad in the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah.
Versus like I'm walking down the street of DC and there's a lamp post with QR code on it. Right. I probably don't want to scan that one versus, something that is, on a TV, right? Use your head, right?
I kind of view it like email. Like it's what we have. It's what we have. It has security issues. It has, there's definitely some gotchas like, DKIM and SPF and blah, blah, blah. Like all these things, layers on top of it. Like, oh, well, why don't you validate the SSL certificate? When you scan a QR code, make sure that you're going to the real site that you thought you were going to, and et cetera. But it is.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say it's what we have. If Steve, he can paste me his wallet address, he can, or if we're sitting there in person and I'm paying him for something, he can, read me his wallet address. But if it's like 64 characters, like, there are cases where it's really it's what we've got. So, Bitly links or whatever, potentially even worse. But
do you think they're going to come out with signed QR codes in the future?
I mean, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, the same way you do like an SSL cert, right? You could sign the data in there. I don't know what that damn QR code would look like because you're only going to fit so much data in a, in the area,
I mean,
right? So
like a web, like just a transaction, right? Like just a signed transaction on the blockchain. That's how you do it.
That would work.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely a place for that, right?
A QR code to the Etherscan link where it's signed or whatever.
yeah,
Well,
the idea is you're just saying if it's not signed, I don't trust it.
If
right?
it wasn't really
by
Coinbase.
signing,
a way
you would
to
sign it.
verify that
I
it
got
was
it. I got it. No. Verified OpenSea accounts that have posted an NFT as a QR code. That's how you do it. That's how you do
But
it.
then OpenSea
Seriously.
gets popped and then you're done.
Well, no. I mean, like, yeah, I guess potentially. Because blue check would be, that would be like
The blue check is JavaScript, dude. I just F12.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
I mean that's that's a tough one. I think,
Mhm.
but either way, it's what we've got. So I don't really. I'm sure there was a long internal debate at Coinbase about should we really do this? Like, how many times did they check to make sure that was the right QR code?
Right, their SOC and security department's like, oh man, don't do that. But the the PR team's
Marketing.
like, yeah, which it turned out to
Oh.
be an amazing marketing ploy because it crashed
too
their
amazing.
site, right?
It crashed their
Well-
site. You think they should have planned for that?
Maybe you think they should have put it on Cloudflare or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think
Maybe, I
Edward
don't know.
Snowden. I'm pretty sure Edward Snowden tweeted like, "You pay $60 million for a Super
And you
Bowl
can't
ad."
have Cloudflare load balancing or whatever. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, either way, we're talking about it, so it had to be good enough. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about it multiple times. It's that good. Okay.
yeah, it is. I think it's also, at least that I know of, the first big spend on crypto on an ad.
And
I mean,
Coinbase, if you're looking for
60
sponsoring
million?
anybody,
Dude,
we just showed your
I
ad,
w-
man.
Yep.
yeah, give us access to the advanced trading platform.
We
did it. We did
We'll
it.
take that. Yep.
So okay, it's confession time. Who got
Or the
rugged?
NFT platform.
Raise your hand if you got
Who
rugged.
got rugged? I've been rugged like a couple times already. So
Swamp Finance. Oh,
Yeah,
Steve
Swamp
got rugged.
Finance. No, Swamp was cool. Swamp was fun.
it was dirty.
Steve got rugged. He didn't lose a lot though, so don't feel bad for him.
No, I didn't lose very much, but it happens to the best of us. And there, in this case, it was, and we put rug in here question mark because I really don't know what happened, but we do know that the developer for Etherprint on AVAX has basically just left. They had apparently some partnership with Liquid Swap. They were going to do all these airdrops and stuff. And they basically locked everyone's tokens and then just departed, deleted the website, deleted the Discord, all that good stuff. Yeah. So gone or a few dollars.
Keep
of mine.
scrolling. You'll see a tweet from our very own.
Yep. Yeah. I'm down there a little bit. But
How dare you?
I've moved down the list. There we go. I had that rug feeling from the start.
10 hearts.
You've got that rug.
It's like being on a red team and you see passwords.txt, right? And you're like, oh man, I gotta open that. But you look at the file stamp, it's from like 1600 or like
From
1972,
1999.
yeah, 1990, whatever.
You're like,
oh man, this is a honeypot, but I gotta look, I gotta try it, right? So that's me. I went in, just tipped my toe in there just a little bit to see if that, if I could go in further with that. And I didn't do my due diligence, unfortunately, and it was just kind of like, hey, if it works, it's great. But turns out it was not a great idea. So if you're into Etherprint, I would say get out now, but too late. So
get out.
Just so you mentioned your due diligence.
Yep.
What would have been the bullshit detector on this? Well,
first of all, the developer's name is Based Dev. There's
fair, right? It's not a person. It's not like it's not a human being. Yeah, I got you.
Right, cheap websites. Promising the moon, but it's just another liquidity pool, and liquidity pools they need people to interact with it, right? Take in, take out, and all that stuff. And there was an alarm bell that went off. I tried to take out a few dollars of Etherprint, the tokens that I had earned WETH on AVAX, and it was like a 90% fee, right? And I was like, wait a minute, crap.
Yeah,
this is going to happen any day now, because
flag.
two or three people then went in and complained about it, and I was like, here comes the rug, and sure enough, there it went.
Yeah.
And so couple indicators there, but by that time it was too late.
So basically, if you are doing a DeFi pool and you have to pay to take the money out, unless it's fees, it's a rug.
How much did you lose, dude?
Undisclosed amount.
All right, it was a lot. He's
wait, no way.
By the way, I need a raise, John. If you're out there listening,
I've never seen Steve invest anything he wouldn't lose. Steve's a fucking gambler at heart. He has a long history of going to the casino and plopping money down. He knows how it works.
I'm willing to lose it all. Yes.
That's like the definition of degening, right? Like
degen.
Well, yeah. Be careful on those side chains and layer 2s, right? They're the wild, wild west of crypto.
Are you telling that guy doing 3-card money in the alleyway in New York City is not a financially approved institution?
They got the two different colored balls on the table, and they're switching the cups around, right? And they're just the same. He lifts it up.
That's the equivalent of the base dev making his own DeFi currency.
But how good is the website? That's all I want to know, right? Like, you got to sell me. Give me those fancy graphics.
I mean, dude, Ralph, you've proved time and time again that you can make amazing websites in about 4 minutes. So
that's true.
I wouldn't. I mean,
that says nothing. I get it.
Unless we're gonna build like a bullshit o-meter thing for like crypto, it like just scans it and then checks it against GitHub and sees how much similarity it has, like a virus total kind of deal.
Etherprint.io has contract checker.
Etherscan. Let's be very specific. It's not Etherprint, right? Etherscan.
Did I say that? Freudian slip. Yeah,
Etherprint was the
Don't
rug,
go to Etherprint.
Don't go to Etherprint. Well, it's dead now. You can anyways, but so you can go in there and do a contract differential, right? And see if they're different or copied and things like that. So
also check if you can withdraw. Put in a little bit, then see if you can withdraw. Put in $10, and if you can't get it back, bail.
Oh, the Etherprint domain just expired. I'm gonna get it.
All right, grab it and redirect it to Etherscan, dude.
Redirected to a Rick roll.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
You mean a rug roll? Sorry.
A rug
roll.
That's all our time for today, guys. It's been good. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks for hanging out. As always, follow us on Twitter. We're almost 1,000 followers, which is cool. Gotta bump that up. We're we're very, very close to 400 subscribers on YouTube too, which is kind of cool. So
wow.
Go, hit that subscribe button. Smash the likes. All the YouTube terms. But yeah, we will catch you next week for the next edition of CoinSec Podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay safe.